Everyone thought mutually assured destruction was the only peace. They were wrong. The year is 1983. The Cold War, far from cooling, was nearing its nuclear flashpoint. Tensions between the United States and the Soviet Union were at an all-time high, a dangerous dance on the precipice of global annihilation. But in the midst of this terrifying stalemate, a radical idea emerged, one that promised to rewrite the rules of atomic warfare. President Ronald Reagan, a man known for his staunch anti-communist stance and his unwavering optimism, unveiled his vision, the Strategic Defense Initiative, or SDI. It was immediately dubbed Star Wars by the media, a reference to the science fiction blockbuster that had captured the public imagination just a few years prior. This wasn't just a new weapon, it was a paradigm shift. For decades, the grim logic of mutually assured destruction, or MAD, had kept the peace. The idea was simple: if one side launched nukes, the other would retaliate, guaranteeing the destruction of both. It was a terrifying, yet strangely stable, deterrent. SDI, however, proposed a different path: a shield. A vast, complex system designed to intercept and destroy incoming ballistic missiles before they could reach their targets. Imagine a vast celestial umbrella deflecting the rain of nuclear warheads. The technology envisioned was truly futuristic: space-based lasers, particle beam weapons, electromagnetic railguns, and advanced sensor arrays. It sounded like something ripped from a Hollywood script, which only fueled the Star Wars moniker. But beneath the cinematic glamour, the implications were profound. If SDI worked, it would fundamentally alter the balance of power. The Soviet Union's massive arsenal of ICBM, their primary deterrent, could be rendered obsolete. This wasn't just a military program, it was a geopolitical earthquake waiting to happen. The Soviets reacted with predictable alarm. They saw SDI not as a defensive shield, but as an offensive weapon, a way for the United States to launch a first strike without fear of retaliation. They believed it would escalate the arms race to an unsustainable level. Mikhail Gorbachev, who would soon become General Secretary of the Communist Party, understood the existential threat SDI posed to Soviet security. His predecessor, Yuri Andropov, publicly declared that SDI was a path to a new and still more dangerous spiral of the arms race. The stakes were astronomical. If SDI failed, it would be a colossal waste of resources and potentially destabilize global security even further. If it succeeded, it could end the threat of nuclear war entirely, or conversely, give one superpower an insurmountable advantage. Reagan, however, was undeterred. He genuinely believed SDI could be a moral imperative, a way to escape the evil empire's nuclear shadow. He dreamt of a world where nuclear weapons were not just contained, but rendered impotent. Behind the scenes, the scientific community was deeply divided. Prominent physicists argued fiercely, some calling SDI a technological fantasy, others seeing it as a necessary deterrent. The debate wasn't just about physics, it was about ethics and the future of humanity. Huge sums of money were poured into research. Billions of dollars were allocated to develop the exotic technologies required. Test facilities sprang up across the U.S., from the Kwajalein Atoll to the high deserts of New Mexico. One of the key figures driving the program was Lieutenant General James Abrahamson, the first director of the SDI organization. He was tasked with turning Reagan's ambitious vision into a tangible reality, a monumental engineering challenge. The space race element of SDI was particularly captivating. The idea of weaponizing space, once the realm of science fiction, was now a serious government objective. Satellites weren't just for communications anymore, they could become platforms for defense. This fueled a new kind of space race, one focused not just on exploration, but on domination. The Soviets, already struggling with their economy, felt immense pressure to keep pace, to develop their own countermeasures or similar systems. The Reykjavik summit in 1986 vividly illustrates SDI's impact. Reagan and Gorbachev met in Iceland, a remote, neutral ground, to discuss arms control. For a moment, a grand bargain seemed possible. eliminate all nuclear weapons. But the deal hinged on one critical point: SDI. Gorbachev demanded that the US abandon it or at least confine it to laboratory research. Reagan, steadfast in his belief, refused. The summit collapsed, a tantalizing glimpse of peace slipping away. Despite the diplomatic setback, SDI continued. Its true effectiveness remained a subject of intense debate. Was it a bluff, a technological marvel waiting to happen, or an impossibly complex dream that would never fully materialize? The financial strain on the Soviet Union was immense. Trying to counter SDI while simultaneously fighting a war in Afghanistan and propping up a failing economy pushed the USSR to its breaking point. It was a pressure cooker nearing explosion. Many historians argue that SDI, whether truly feasible or not, was a significant factor in the collapse of the Soviet Union. It forced the Soviets to spend money they didn't have, accelerating their internal decay. After the Cold War ended, the SDI program was significantly scaled back and eventually renamed. The original vision of a comprehensive shield against all ballistic missiles proved too ambitious, too costly, and perhaps too technologically advanced for its time. Yet elements of SDI persisted. Modern missile defense systems, like the Patriot or THAAD, are direct descendants of the research initiated during the SDI era. The dream of a defensive shield, however imperfect, continues to evolve. The Star Wars defense was more than just a military program. It was a symbol of an audacious gamble, a testament to the belief that technology could transcend even the most intractable geopolitical stalemates. It pushed the boundaries of science, reshaped diplomacy, and perhaps, ultimately, helped bring an end to the Cold War. The question of whether SDI was a brilliant strategy or a costly fantasy still sparks debate. But its legacy, intertwined with the final chapters of the Cold War, is undeniable. Next, uncover the truth behind the Able Archer 83 exercise and how close we truly came to nuclear war.